antenna. So anyway, this is a sassafras, just like the other one. I wanted a matching piece, and this is going to make such a perfect matching piece. Look at that. This is a beautiful specimen. This is where the honeysuckle has grown around a sassafras tree. Sassafras is one of my favorites, and as you can see, it peels off very nicely when it's fresh. Now once it dries, it's not going to peel off so easy because the cambium layer between the bark and the wood starts to seize the bark to the wood, and then it doesn't come off until it's practically rotted. So this is a freshly cut. I cut this just a moment ago, and as you can see, it has a honeysuckle vine growing around it, and this is going to make a nice, beautiful component in a piece of furniture. This is one of the most beautiful pieces I found, and have a matching piece from another sassafras that's going to go with this into a piece of furniture. So this is the way I peel. I won't go through the whole process with you, but basically I either use a pocket knife or a chisel, and I'm going to separate the bark without scratching the wood. And I'm going to get this beautiful surface on the wood. It's not easy because you have to be extremely careful not to bruise the wood. It's okay if it leaves a dark spot on it, because anytime you touch it, it's going to cause it to turn dark in those areas by the oxidation process that takes place. So it's just that simple. It's tedious, takes time, but this is all in preparation of how this works. Now, the part that you don't realize is this is still green. So the peeling process takes place, and then a period of time has to go by before this wood is going to be dry enough to actually use for furniture. That's why when someone is going to buy a piece of furniture made out of this type of material, it's not necessarily going to be the cheapest piece of furniture. It's artwork, actually, and the art is partly, let me turn around here where you can see it. Artwork is partly by carpenter, but artwork is partly by God, as he so beautifully allows nature to take place. Nature is just an amazing, amazing thing, in my opinion. So this takes time, as you can tell, and you have to be careful not to cut yourself. You need a good sharp chisel. I'm going to pull this piece of bark off so I can show this to you. This is the cambium layer right here of the bark, that white part. And then you have the different layers of the bark and the outside texture of the bark. That inside layer, which is again the cambium layer, if you're careful, you can peel it off and make canes from it. What I mean by that is, you've seen people cane chairs, baskets. You can actually use that in strips and weave chair bottoms and such. Sassafras is very hard, a very hard wood, and it's not easy to find when it's shaped like this, but it shapes very well because it conforms to the pressure that it's under. And the vines, although they're small, although these vines are small as they grow around the tree, they're putting constant pressure in the tree instead of instead of choking out, it's just going to allow that vine to get deeper and deeper as the tree keeps bulging out, making the spiral pattern. Another thing that you'll notice is when you're digging into the forest for these is, interestingly, all the spirals grow around the tree counterclockwise as they go up the tree in a Fibonacci pattern. And the Fibonacci, if you study that, is very much tied into nature. Fibonacci sequence, you see it in seashells, you see it in other things as well. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful piece. Beautiful piece. I'm just getting right underneath that cambium layer. Right under that is where all the juices of the tree make it from the root to the leaves. And while it's still fresh, that creates a slight separation between the bark and the tree. Again, you notice I'm not whittling into the wood. I'm keeping the surface of the wood all natural. That's what people want. And I have some beautiful pieces that I'll show you, hopefully in this video, from maple. And when maple is going through this transformation, it leaves some of the most beautiful burls. It's a scarring. It's a beauty under pressure, which I think some of the most beautiful things on earth have been formed under pressure. Diamonds are formed under pressure. People are formed under pressure as they become leaders. That's a beautiful thing. Won't do all this in front of you, but I'll at least do enough so you can see this process is not too difficult, but at the same time, there is a method to it. Yeah, you can always hear my dogs and chickens and animals in the background. This is a farm. So as you can see, as I'm cutting into that groove right there, that's where the vine is, way down in there. You can see the vine a little bit right there. Sometimes I leave the vine in, sometimes I take it out. It depends. What matters is, are we getting the beauty of nature? See the vine as it goes through there? Amazing how nature has produced such a beautiful, beautiful piece here. Hope you're getting all this on camera. That'll clean up nicely. This piece, unless I change my mind, is going to be a chair leg. And these chairs are like a combination of a piece of art and in nature, but at the same time, a lot of work, stages of work that go into it, and that guarantee that it's going to serve the purpose of a piece of furniture that's going to last a lifetime, and functional, that you can actually sit in and feel comfortable. If this was a just a straight section, it would be so much easier to clean out. But because it is a twisted, and my rooster Ataru, he has a Japanese name, always wants to be part of a video. There's a way that I get in there and pull that out. Try to get as much as I can. Try to also sometimes leave a little bit in there for color variation. If it calls for it. Sometimes I want it perfectly cleaned out. Part of the scarring process can leave blemishes in the wood. And basically this curve is a blemish. But also there's going to be some dark spots occasionally, or some burls. This piece being Sassafras, it has an aroma while it's fresh like this. I wish you could smell it. If you could smell it, you would think you were in a root beer factory. I'm a little uncomfortable in my position here because I'm trying to angle everything so that you can see it on camera. Now, some trees have a lot of tannic acid in them. And because of that, when you work it without gloves, your hands are going to turn black. And you can see it on the end of my fingers. Some are worse than others. Maple's not so bad. Poplar and dogwood, wow. Or walnut. Locusts all have a lot of tannic acid in them. My grandfather used to go in the forest, and he would harvest what they call acid wood, which would mainly be locust and black walnut, and those type of trees, and grow up here in the forest. And the reason he did was because back in the old days, that's what they used. They call it acid wood because they would use it to process the furs when they would trap. Years ago, when they would trap animals and use their furs, and they had to process the leather. And as they would process that leather, it made it softer, and it also helped make the leather elastic. The tannic acid in the trees, especially around the bark. I don't see what you're seeing, so I hope you're getting all this in the view of the camera. By the way, all these came from the homestead here at Welch Family Homestead. This is not pieces that were bought. I actually cut this with a saw a moment ago when I saw it in the forest, and said, okay, I got to harvest this before the vines potentially kill it. And at the same time, it's at the good size to make something beautiful and lasting out of it. So thought I'd just pull the video camera out. This is gonna be pretty around this. This is another scar. You can see that right there. This is where there was a knot. There was a limb that came out here. It's one thing to have scarring from the vines, but it's another thing to have scarring from a knot. See what it looks like under that knot. I'm sure it's beautiful here. Look at this. Nice burl. Beautiful. Beautiful. Just so if you don't whittle it off, and you're able to get it off while the camin layer is still wet like this. That's why if you buy these from people online and they ship twisted trees to you, that's nice, but if you get them, they're going to be dry, and you're going to have a difficulty getting the bark off without ruining some of the beautiful natural formations, without putting whittle marks through it. And it would take forever, as if you were trying to, you've seen these people trying to expose fossils in a rock. That's what it's about like if you try to do this after the tree is dry. I'm going to express caution here when you're working with sharp tools. I have cut myself and gouged myself many times, and after a while you just kind of get to the point where you don't do it as much. You get wounded less and get used to your tools. Been working with tools all my life, so it doesn't mean that I'm not going to get a nick every now and then. It's going to make a beautiful chair leg. Got another sassafras that will match it perfectly. Same size. And which, if you're making a chair, you want some matching components. They don't have to all match, but you want at least some of them to look like you intended to do it as good as you possibly could. So take a look at this. how beautiful that's going to be. I'll clean it up, make it look pretty, and I'll show it to you on a later video as I integrate it into a chair leg or a table leg. Who knows, I might change my mind. Beautiful, huh? Nature. Nature. So this is the leaf of a sassafras, but I want to show you why they're so special. You see, some of the leaves on a sassafras tree have 3 tiers. Some of them have 2, like a hand. In other words, they're like, some are just one tier leaf, some are 2 tier leaf, and some are 3 tier leaf. That's the nature of a sassafras. So as you can see here, here is a 2-tier leaf, right? Well, it's hard to do with one hand. Right there. There's a 2-tier leaf. There's another 2-tier leaf right here. Right there. Then you have the 3-tier leaves, as you can see. And then you have the 1-tier leaf, which there's a good example of the 1-tier leaf. I used to keep this hill bush hogged off, but it grows so fast here in the western North Carolina mountains. It's just amazing how fast everything grows. So this is the piece that I'm after. So let me turn my camera around. Okay, so this is what I was looking for, is this part here. And it has a nice curve into it right in that section, which may work out perfect for what I want to use it for that particular chair. I want to show you where I've been harvesting a few of these nice pieces of vine twisted timber. And I have a branch going right through here, which if we don't keep it cleaned out, it gets a little snaky. And as you can see, it goes down through here. I dug this out with excavator to get it deeper, because sometimes if you don't dig a branch out like this, then what happens is it'll make it soggy right in here to where you can't bush hog it or anything else. The tractor just mar up in mud. And then when I dug all this out years ago, of course you can see the piles of dirt down through here where I dug it out. When I dug it out, it lowered the water table in that field right there so I could manage it. It's part of farming, So let's take a look at why I'm getting a lot of honeysuckles growing everywhere. You can see that. You can even see places way up in the tree where you see some nice swirls that if I were to cut those trees down, I'd get some good pieces out of that as well. These are all honeysuckle vines. I want to clear this section out right here. This section will make a beautiful place to hang out. And talking about making maybe a nice little picnic area right in here. Yeah, so let me show you something real quick. Maple tree that I cut down. It had vines all in it. And it actually even had, if you'll see here, a big muscadine vine growing in it, but that didn't cause it to disfigure. But these big vines of honeysuckle did. And again, you can see sometimes the nicest pieces are way up in the top where you can see the figures of the twisted trees from the squeezing of the vine. Nice muscadine vine, by the way. I'm gonna terrace that to get more muscadines off of it. Take a look at these pieces here. These are going to make some really nice table posts or bed posts. These are huge. There's some nice twists in them. That right there is a foot thick maple. Turned out really beautiful.